So when you're doing punches, it's very important that you keep the wrist straight, okay? If you do not keep the wrist straight, i.e. you're bending it like this or bending it this way, it's not going to be very good, okay? So as an example, I'm going to do it in slow motion just so I don't hurt myself. I'm going to punch, I'm going to bend my wrist. See, it's flat here. I'm going to bend it slightly down, okay? So as this punch would come in with my wrist bent down, what's going to happen is my wrist is going to bend and it's going to do this, okay? And that is going to hurt my hand a lot, okay? So it's very important that we keep the wrist straight, okay? Another important factor is that we must hit with our knuckles, okay? So if you do not hit with your knuckles correctly, one, you're going to start bleeding or get bruised knuckles, and two, it's going to hurt, okay? So the way you punch correctly is you go straight in and straight out, hitting with the two biggest knuckles, straight in and then straight out, okay? We do not hit with the flats of our hand, because that's just not going to be powerful at all, and it's probably going to hurt your fingers. You hit with these two knuckles, and you don't want to skim, okay? So if I go in a motion like this, a round motion, if I hit the target and my hand scrapes across it, this is what causes the skin to tear away and blood to start coming out. So obviously to avoid that, we don't want to skim it, okay? We don't want to hit the target and scrape across it like that. That's already hurting my knuckles. Just hit it and out, okay? In, out, not scraping across like that, okay? So just think about that while you're doing your techniques, okay? Straight wrist, hitting with the two knuckles, in and out, okay? In a realistic situation, we'd never leave a hand into a target like this. We go in and out really fast, okay? Going for the head, in and out really fast, okay? So I've just done a little warm up, got my stretching, and so now we're gonna start with our little exercises. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna work on our hip movement, power output, and executing power of our punches, okay? So again, you can do this with thin air, just punching in the air like this. But if you have a target to hit, that'll be even better, okay? So what we're gonna work on is we do not want to get power from just using our arms, okay? So we're not just using our arms like this, okay? You can see my whole body is staying still, okay? We're gonna get power from moving our hips like this, okay? So I draw my hip back, and as my arm comes forwards, I'm gonna punch into it, okay? And this brings my other hip back ready to do the next attack, okay? So that's what we're gonna focus on first, okay? So if you're holding pads or anything, or pillow to the stomach, just do the following, okay? So we're gonna pull our hip back, and as we're pulling it back, we're preparing our hand to punch, and as we push the hip forwards, we're gonna push in with our hip and the hand here, okay, like that, okay? So this is gonna add a lot more power into our punches, okay? So we're pulling that hip back, and as we go forwards, we're pushing the hip in, okay? It's quite hard to do it slower, but as you pick up the speed, it gets a bit better, okay? So we're gonna pick up the speed a little bit now, okay? So we're gonna pull that hip back, and as we come forwards, punch, okay? I'm gonna pull that hip back, punch, okay? I do not want to exaggerate the movement of my shoulders. I do not want to do this with my shoulders, okay? So I want to try and keep my shoulders as square as possible to this target, okay? I'm not separating my shoulders like this. I'm keeping them together, okay? So from here, let's pick up the speed. We're gonna pull our hip back, preparing our hand to punch here. As it comes out, punch, okay? It's very important as well to always keep eyes on your target, okay? So let's just do a couple of those together, okay? So just prepare the hand back, get into a nice stance, okay? You can actually do this from a stance like Kioi, or if you really want to, you can go into a traditional karate stance. You can still get this hip movement going in the karate stance, okay? So let's get into a stance, get our guards up, prepare the hand to punch, pull the hip back and punch, okay? Now let's do that again. We're gonna twist our other hip now into the punch. Shake, go, go, sit, hatch, kill, and you, okay? So, developing power from the hip movement here, okay? So, really, we only want to do that hip movement if we're going for sort of like a knockout punch, okay? So if I'm just throwing jabs to the head, this hip movement isn't too important, okay? But if I go jab, jab, okay, jab, jab, strike for that knockout punch, then I'm going to move my hips into it, okay? So let's do a couple of those. Do a jab, jab. These jabs, they don't have to be light. They can be light, okay? You just throwing your hand in someone's face and just getting in their way, okay? So this hand, just getting in that person's face. You don't even have to jab. You can just slap them in the face, slap the nose like this. That's very uncomfortable, and it's not nice. And while you're doing that, punch, okay? Obviously, this guy has no arms, so he has no way of attacking me back, but it's just a good way to go about things, okay? Someone's about to attack you, you've got to get in there first, throw them off balance, okay? You can't be gentle with someone when they're trying to attack you, okay? So just practice that a couple of times, okay? So let's try and get the speed right up, okay? We're gonna go for 10 straight away. Just going straight into punches without counting in your own time, okay? And just think about that hip movement in the punches, okay? So from here, I'm gonna start, okay? So, okay, very good, okay? So if you've got your karate suit on, you know you've got in good hip movement because your belt will be doing this thing, okay? Your guys' belts might be a bit more floppier, okay? But they'll definitely be swinging across your hip as you're moving, okay? So hip rotates, punch, okay? Hip rotates, punch, okay? You've got to try and get them at the same time. What some people do is they'll move the hip and then punch, move the hip and then punch. Don't want to be doing that. You want to move them firm together, okay? Together, okay? That's where you're going to get the power from. You can try this with many other techniques as well, okay? Pull the hip away, and as you come in, hammer fist, okay? Hammer fist is a very good technique, okay? You can draw so much power. If you can hit someone's temple, then that's good, okay? Not always the best of moves for self-defense, but they are very good handy technique, okay? But this is a bit more of a, we call this mid-range, okay? And this is more of a close range, okay? Obviously, I can no longer do a hammer fist here. But what we can do is, again, with the hip movement, elbow strike, okay? Yeah, hip movement back, elbow strike, okay? This is much more close range. This is when someone's trying to grab you like this, okay? And when someone's grabbing you out, it's boom, okay? Just keeping them controlled. They might be trying to get their arms underneath your arms, but you just want to keep things controlled. And if you can, boom, get some knee kicks in there, stuff like that, okay? So mid-range, close range, and then obviously very close range, okay? Which are all situations fights can be in, okay? Karate is always from a distance here, okay? I've got good clearance, got my guard far, and then from here I can just get a little jab in, and then bam, okay? Maybe without the sound effects, okay? So just practice those techniques, the punches, while you're at home. Get that hip movement working, okay? And if you can apply that to your basics when you do karate, when you come back, you definitely improve your techniques, okay? So when we're doing our basics here and we do an upper block, we're not keeping our hips still, okay? What we're doing is moving our hips with our strikes here, yeah? Let's get that hip movement in your katas and techniques, okay? Anyway, hope you enjoyed today's video. Make sure you train safely and make sure you train karate.